So there you have that. Okay, now with that only being one difference away from us as human beings, then what does that prove? Well, if you looked close enough, when they had the two columns of the DNA there, you would have read the word hybrid off to the left side. Now, does it necessarily mean that it was humans being hybridized with whatever animal this is? No, not necessarily. But apparently that is what the scientists, upon their findings, have predicted. Now, apparently they are going to do more research on discovering what exactly that difference is. Well, he said that that could take a year. So, you have quite some time before we are able to find out what that difference is. The fact is that there is human DNA in this creature, or human-like DNA in this creature. We are only one difference away. The hair has also proved that. It's very similar to humans, but there are two differences. So maybe this one difference in their DNA gives them the ability to grow the extra hair, to be able to hide away from us, in a sense. Maybe it is nothing that extreme. So, my response to no evidence of hybridization is that. Now, am I saying that this creature possibly escaped from Dulcie? No. My hypothesis is that if these creatures are real, then they have been around for quite some time. Perhaps even before this Dulcie base existed. But my hypothesis to all of this is that people have stated over the years that they have seen Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, all of those, okay? My hypothesis would be that the government has taken a mythical type creature and made their own version of it to see how well it would do. And the reason I believe that they would do this, because some of you are going to ask, why would they do that? Well, if you are going to invent something, more than likely you would want to have test runs done. Now, let's do a scenario here that is stretching an idea quite a bit. So this is just a make-up scenario. I'm not saying this is going to happen or this is what it is for. Let's just make something up here and see how it goes. Let's say the people at this Dulcie base are in part supportive of the New World Order, or One World Government, or Utopia, or whatever you want to call it. Let's say that they are supportive of this, and they are in the realms of research to figure out exactly what they can use to better their chances of accomplishing such things. Well, let's say that they genetically engineered this Sasquatch creature, okay? Well, they're not going to leave it in a cage and expect to get results from that. No, they're going to put it out in real world and see what they can figure out. Is this creature going to be able to hide when it needs to? Is this creature going to be able to inflict fear when it needs to? Which it very obviously has done to many people. How will it survive? What are the chances of it being able to survive? And some of you are going to say, well, how come we've never found any bodies? Well, obviously, if they are researching these creatures that they have engineered. They more than likely have trackers on them. And if they die, they go out and get them. You know, it's not that hard to do. But that would be my hypothesis to all of this. I mean, that being a scenario there, you've really got to think about the fact that these creatures could possibly exist. And with the DNA evidence, it's hard to say that they don't. But being so close to humans, is it possible that maybe an abductee in this base was hybridized with something, or they took DNA from both species and grew it there in the lab? It is possible. There are no records of that, or people coming forth to say such things, but, you know, it's possible. Now, you have to take into consideration the fact that, obviously, if you invent something, you are going to test run it, okay? You have to be able to know how to perfect your invention. If, say, you invented some elevator, well, you wouldn't automatically assume that it would be okay for people to ride in if you did not test run it and make sure that it was going to run smoothly and cause no bodily harm to anybody. Well, this is very possibly the same thing. You have to do test runs. And some of you are probably going to say, well, why don't they just do one test subject and bring it back in the lab when it does something wrong? Well, you have to take into consideration that, yes, they know where these things are if they're being tracked, but why would you want to bring something that was successful in their environment back into better that? Why wouldn't you leave it there to see how it evolved? And take a new test subject and put them out in the world to see how well they did. Then you could take information from the two and combine it and make an even better one, and so on and so forth. So, you know, this is just my theory. This is just me here talking, but I found it very, very intriguing that such things were out there. So now that we have the DNA, we can try and see what is different about it from ours. These creatures could very possibly be something completely different. Maybe closer descendants from the cavemen type people. And maybe that's all there is to it. But we don't know that for sure. There's no evidence, and there's no evidence to support my theory. Like I said, it's a debated topic. So, with all of this in mind, go ahead and tell me what you think. I mean, do you think there's a possibility? And on another note, if this species has been able to have stayed hidden for so long, yet they walk right in the forest line, then is there a possibility of these alien beings under our feet? I mean, these Sasquatch creatures have been able to hide themselves for a very long time. They only come out and near people when they choose to. So, what if there is a possibility of these aliens being underneath of us? I mean, these creatures are right out in open daylight. They hide in the damn trees, for Christ's sake. But to hide underground is a much more successful place to hide. So keep that in mind too. And I'm going to get off of here for the night, I think, because it's almost time for me to start cooking dinner, and my husband will be home shortly. So I will leave that at that.